Good morning, dear friends, and welcome on this Sunday morning to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship at Stony Brook. Welcome to you who are here in this sanctuary, and welcome to everyone who's attending virtually. My name is June Cerveni, and I am happy to be your worship associate this morning, co-leading the service with our minister, the Reverend Margie Allen. Deb Little is our Director of Religious Education, and information about our religious education program for children and youth may be found on our website at uufsb.org. I'd like to offer a special welcome to anyone who is new to our fellowship, and I hope that you find among us inspiration for living and nourishment for your spirit. Unitarian Universalism as a living tradition has two commitments: to freedom of belief and an orientation toward inclusion, interdependence, and justice. You can find more information about the principles we strive to live by, again, at our webpage at uufsb.org. If you are attending the service virtually this morning, please watch the chat for the order of service and a few important links during the service, especially the visitors form and the feedback form. We would love to hear from you. After the service, you can leave this virtual space, go to our webpage, and click on the link for small group chats in order to visit with a smaller group of very, very friendly people. I have a few important announcements this morning. As you may know, the Committee on Ministries of the Congregation spent last year and most of this year researching, discussing, and drafting a covenant of right relations for our congregation. Our fellowship will vote on whether or not to adopt this covenant at our annual meeting on June 5th. Copies of the covenant are available for your review throughout the sanctuary, and please contact members of the COMC with any questions. Their email addresses are at the bottom of each copy of the covenant. The UUFSB Goods and Services Auction, woo, Tea for Two, has begun. Our online silent auction opened yesterday and runs through May 20th. It is as easy as shopping online. Please see Friday's special news feed or go to uufsb.org for step-by-step instructions on how to register and bid. And I've already bid. Our live auction will be held in person next Saturday, May 21st, from 2 to 5 p.m. Please see Deborah or Colleen at the back of the sanctuary after service to buy your tickets for the live auction, which are only $15 for adults and $5 per child. We are asking families who have children to please purchase their tickets today so that we can plan accordingly. We have one single raffle item for the event, and it is a bountiful basket of comfort, a collaborative effort of our wonderful worship associates. It is overflowing with items to provide the peace and tranquility that we all crave. This basket is valued at $350. Check it out at the ticket sales table after the service. Raffle tickets are just $5 each. They're available today and at the door of the live auction, and you don't have to attend the event to purchase a raffle ticket. At 4 o'clock today, the Three Village Interfaith Clergy are pleased to sponsor a gathering hosted by the Selden Masjid. The Masjid address is 10 Park Hill Drive, just off Middle Country Road in Selden. So that's down to Middle Country Road and go east. There will be abundant food and drink and an opportunity to learn about the Masjid, Islam, and in particular the holy month of Ramadan. That's from 4 to 6. Please come and show some love for our Muslim friends. And finally, those wanting to address the shortage in infant formula may contact the local nonprofit organization Angels of Long Island which is located in East Patchogue at 350 East Main Street. They are hosting an ongoing baby formula collection and giveaway to ease parent stress. Call ahead at 631-803-6775 to learn which formulas are sought and how to donate monetarily. And you may contact Donna Damian with any questions. Let us enter into the sacred space and time of worship with the sounding of the morning bell. I have asked Laura Lesh to light our chalice this morning, and if you are attending our service virtually, I invite you to light a chalice or a candle at your home as we light ours here. And I share these words by Soren Kierkegaard. To dare is to lose one's footing momentarily. Not to dare is to lose oneself.
Come down off your throne, leave your body alone. Somebody must change. You are the reason I've been waiting so long. Somebody holds the key, but I'm near the end and I just ain't got the time. And I'm wasted and I can't find my way home. Come down on your own and leave your money home. Somebody must change. You are the reason I've been waiting all these years. Somebody holds the key, but I'm near the end and I just ain't got the time. And I'm wasted and I can't find my way home. But I can't find my way home. Still I can't find my way home. And I ain't done nothing wrong. Still I can't find my way home.
From the Four Directions, We arrive in sacred space this morning, gathering in the center of the compass of space, where east and south and west and north meet. The center of the circle of time, where past becomes the now of was and the future becomes the now of will be. In the nowhere of everywhere we meet in the company of everything and nothing. Here we find ourselves and each other. Rise east in us, breathing us deep into the whole of who we are. Come, preachers, prophets, poets, singers, teachers, come east. Wind, breath, feather, word, birth, air. Bless us with your presence here. Burn south in us, bright light in the chalice of our hearts. Come, martyrs, marchers, activists, leaders, evangelists. Come south, sun, spirit, prism, will, energy, fire. Bless us with your presence here. Rest west in us. Buoy us up as we slip what grips us, holds us back. Come healers, families, lovers, learners, helpers. Come west. River, blood, wave, love, flow, water. Bless us with your presence here. Beat north in us, a heartbeat symphony. Come builders, gardeners, artists, dreamers, ramblers. Come north. Stone, bone, fruit, truth, death, earth. Bless us with your presence here. Found now in the center of the compass rose, found now in the steady rhythm of our pulse and our breath, found now on the web of all that is at home in the universe. In this sanctuary of time and space, we find ourselves and are found. Blessed be this camp to the side of the long path. Blessed be our belonging here.
This morning, we join together to recite our unison affirmation of purpose. So if you will please join me in that. We join together here as purposeful companions to support and challenge one another in our efforts to deepen our spiritual practice and understanding, to celebrate human difference in our outreach and welcome, to listen, speak, and act with humility and compassion, to respond boldly to injustice among us and beyond us, and to tend and protect this parcel of earth and all the life it nourishes. In doing so, we strive to create the world our principles envision and to challenge the wisdom of our sources faithfully to that end. We are now in the closing phase of our annual pledge drive, in which we consider how to offer financial support to our fellowship in the coming year. We do this to be intentional in our giving and also so that financial planning can happen. And John Morris is here to give us a pledge drive update.
Morning. So I'm John Morris. Ron Cagle and I are co-chairs of this year's pledge drive, and I just wanted to give you a little progress report as we're nearing the end. So I'll give you some pledge drive numbers, and then I'll try to put things into context for you. First, some basics. A pledge is a promise to donate a certain amount of money during the year. If you do make a pledge, you can pay it in whatever way works for you during the year. My wife Lee and I pay monthly. And if your situation changes during the year, you can adjust your pledge. It's a good faith estimate of what you'll be able to donate, not a contract. We make pledges in advance so that our finance committee and board can plan the fellowship finances for the year. The budget year starts at the beginning of July, so planning for next year's budget is well underway. We'll vote on the budget at the annual meeting on June 4th, so it's important to get your pledge in as soon as possible if you haven't pledged already. We're so far just over 3/4 of the way to our pledge goal of 300,000. We've so far received 101 pledges. We're running a little bit behind the pace of previous years, which, to be honest, has made me and Ron and some others a little nervous, but we expect quite a few more pledges to come in. Last year we had 131 pledges. So we have 101 so far this year. Last year we had 131, and I actually think we'll exceed 131 this year. We've had 12 new households pledging. That's exciting. The average pledge so far this year is $2,281, which is a bit higher than past years. And among those who pledged last year and have already pledged for this year, pledges have on average gone up by 5%. So thank you for that. And I know that includes some people who really made substantial increases in their pledge. Okay, now for some context. First about where we're coming from in a financial sense, and then about where we're going. Where we're coming from is 2 years of the disruption of the COVID pandemic. During the pandemic, our income from building use and fundraisers has taken a huge hit. Our finance committee has been resourceful in helping us to get through this time with grant applications and a temporary mortgage payment deferral last year. But it has really been pledges and additional donations from members that have sustained us. So thank you again for that. We hope we've turned a corner and we'll be able to restore building use and fundraiser income going forward, but we're not out of the woods yet. So that's one reason why your pledges are so important this year. Now a word about where we're going. It's important that we remain here and remain strong so that others can find the fellowship as their spiritual home, as we have. So people can come together in a spirit of mutual respect, try to understand the world, how to be in that world, and how we can try to make it better. But the fellowship is not a static thing. We're always evolving. I'm optimistic about where we're heading. We're about to embark on a search for a new minister. We'll be charting our course into the future. There are things I know we'd like to do in the short term, just some ideas. There's great work going on to revive the poetry path and otherwise improve our grounds. We'd like to create spaces on the property in which individuals can commune with nature and groups can meet. We want to improve our sanctuary with additional equipment, including flat screen monitors for worship and rental use. We could really use a paid employee to take over and develop our meditative arts program. We'll also be looking to upgrade the fellowship's heating, ventilation, and AC system in order to have built-in high-grade air filtration. As always, we as a congregation get to decide how things will change over time. So this is another reason why your pledges are so important this year. We want to get ourselves on a strong financial footing so we can realize our dreams for the future. So if you haven't already pledged, please make your pledge as soon as possible. You can use the online pledge form at our website. There's a link right near the thermometer at the top left of the homepage. You can also find a link to other pledge drive information there. Or you can call or email the office with your pledge. Or I do have some paper pledge forms here, so you could fill one out today and drop it in the safe outside the fellowship office. How much to pledge? Pledge amounts vary widely. I can tell you that the average pledge last year was around $2,100. The amount of your pledge is a personal decision, and my co-chair, Ron, and I want you to know that whatever amount you pledge, it'll be gratefully received. So thank you all for your continued support of the fellowship. Now, please stand in body or in spirit and join in our opening hymn, number 188. Come, come, whoever you are. The words are those of the 13th century Sufi master and poet Rumi. Come, come, let us journey together. Though you've broken your vows 1,000 times, come yet again, come.
Our reading this morning is by Reverend Mariela Perez Simon. She is a Cuban-American UU minister focusing on eco-spirituality, ecofeminism, and religious naturalism. She's the producer of a weekly show, The Seed, the Soil, and the Soul. She can be found at Reverend Mariela, and her words are a piece that she wrote for the UUA Worship Web's periodic Braver Wiser blog. She begins with a quote from Robin Wall Kimmerer, author of the electronically wise book, Braiding Sweetgrass, Indigenous Wisdom, Scientific Knowledge, and the Teachings of Plants. Here's the Kimmerer quote. I wonder if much that ails our society stems from the fact that we have allowed ourselves to be cut off from that love of and from the land. It is medicine for broken land and empty hearts. And now here are Mariela's reflections. During my high school years in Cuba, every student needed to pick a sport. I decided to take orienteering instead of the traditional options because I preferred being outdoors instead of inside loud and smelly gymnasiums. Taking orienteering was the best decision I made as a teenager. That training has served me well. It taught me to depend on both my trusty outer compass and my own inner compass. In high school, when I lost myself in the woods on purpose, I was trained to find my way out. And similarly, every time I've lost myself in the whirlwind that is the patriarchal white supremacist culture of our society, I've been able to find my way out. I'm ashamed to count the ways that I've gotten completely lost in the vortex that is the white patriarchal culture of this society. It says faster, more, bigger, and then it goes on abusing people and the planet along the way with its hunger for more money, more profit, extracting resources, and sucking life out of living things. This way is not sustainable. Our nervous systems can't sustain the speed, the greed. Our immune system can't handle it. Our earth can't handle it. It is self-destructive. Every time I get lost in it, I find my way out. My inner compass shows me the way because it has a different voice. It says, this is the way. Slower, gentler, more nurturing. I know that in my bones. I don't know where my inner compass comes from. Maybe from my ancestral pool. Yes. And I also think it's from being human, from being a living organism on this planet that knows about the conditions that are life-giving and the conditions that suck our life force. It comes from something within that has learned to recognize self-destructive systems and to return to the earth for healing. My inner compass points toward this new north, reminding me of this power we've been given to create a new future. I move in this direction now, a new orientation toward life, a new direction beckons to all of us, one that is life-giving.
Thanks to the reader and to Mariella. Let us gather ourselves for a little bit of quiet and rest in the middle of our service. Time for meditation and maybe a few words to yourself that come to you in your own heart. I'll also offer a thought to take with you into the silence that follows my words. And if you're not familiar with our hymn, Spirit of Life, number 123, you might want to open your hymnal to that page so it's right there as we will sing after the silence seated. So my suggestion to you for something to think about, if you don't have anything better to think about while you're in the silence, is to look back over your life and remember a time or times when you were lost. This could be lost in any sense of the word, and found that you did not have really the means right away to figure out what direction to go in order to find yourself or be found. It could just be the usual being lost in a car and having to see whether the husband or the wife, if you don't mind my being gender specific, is going to actually decide to ask someone. Or it could be a time when something happened that completely disoriented you in your life and you honestly had no idea how to respond, where to go, what to do, not even really knowing what effect this huge thing would have on your future. So about being lost, and perhaps with your story, there is a story of someone or something or some instrument that helped you be found. So, a minute in the silence.
It is our spiritual practice to share our offering plate with a deserving social justice recipient. All bills and coins will be shared 50-50 between UUFSB and the social justice recipient, unless you instruct us differently. If you write a check, you may instruct on the memo line how much is to go to social justice and how much toward your pledge. This month's recipient is the Sweetbriar Nature Center, a not-for-profit located in Smithtown. Through education and by example, the Sweetbriar Nature Center encourages appreciation and respect and responsible decision-making regarding the unique wildlife and ecosystems found here on Long Island. It is located on 54 acres of garden, woodland, field, and wetland habitats on the Nissequogue River. It is home to hundreds of species of plants and animals. The mission of the organization is twofold: to provide natural science education services to people of all ages, and to provide native wildlife rehabilitation services. Please support this local organization engaged in caring for our earthly ecosystems.
Feel free to sing along. There is a young cowboy who lives on the range. His horse and his cattle are his only companions. He works in the saddle and he sleeps in the canyons, waiting for summer, his pastures to change. And as the moon rises, he sits by his fire, thinking about women and glasses of beer. Closes his eyes as the doggies retire. He sings out a song which is soft but it's clear, as if maybe someone could hear. Good night, you moonlight ladies, rock-a-bye, sweet baby James. Deep greens and blues for the colors I choose. Won't you let me go down in my dream? And a rock-a-bye, sweet baby James. Now the 1st of December was covered with snow, and so was the turnpike from Stockbridge to Boston. For the Berkshires seemed dreamlike on account of that frosting. With 10 miles behind me and 10,000 more to go. There's a song that they sing when they take to the highway, a song that they sing when they take to the sea, a song that they sing of their home in the sky. Maybe you can believe it if it helps you to sleep, but singing works just fine for me. Oh, good night, you moonlight ladies, and rock-a-bye, sweet baby James. Deep greens and blues for the colors I choose. Won't you let me go down in my dream? And rock-a-bye, sweet baby James.
Thanks, Mike and James. I got very distracted looking out the window. I don't know if you noticed, but there's I think a female oriole out there putting her nest together on a branch that hangs right by the deck. Which, if you know, when I first came here, it was an oriole that said this was the place. It is. So I have actually no direct experience in the practice of orienteering, learning to use tools and signs to find my way out of lostness and into foundness. Honestly, the word just came to me when I was thinking about this particular service a year ago, and the kinds of things that I might want to say to you towards the end of my time as your minister. I have, I think, 4 more services. That said, about orienteering, I was, from the get-go, a lover of wilderness and wandering, as I've spoke about before. As a kid, I loaded up many a backpack for a day of walking the land, creating and deepening a very reciprocal relationship with my native earth in Southwest Virginia. I wish that I had been so lucky as to have had the choice of taking a class called orienteering when I was in high school. I would have felt it right away in my body knowing without knowing that this would be an important and giant step really towards the passions and purpose of my adult life, toward the me I was becoming. It might have saved me a lot of angst. But no, I was stuck with the gym onesie and the 600-yard dash and everything stinky at school. I taught myself the survival value of a peanut butter sandwich and the wonder of the world brought close through a magnifying glass and binoculars. And I walked as a child many miles. And I loved, in particular, the places where water ran through. Later, I fell in love with maps. I would sit down and read them like books. And I learned about terrain and the weather that moves across it. And as a young adult, I learned to navigate across large swaths of country roads on my bicycle. I was a long-distance cyclist, if you can believe it. Turn by turn, uphill and down, the sweet rhythm of my own body consuming the miles, taking in the beauty, becoming strong and confident. Now these days, when Linda and I are trying to get somewhere in the city, and Linda says this way, we go in the direction she's pointing, and she is always right. The city is where she grew up. It's her native land. If we're out in the countryside and Linda says, turn this way, we go in the opposite direction because that's the way I'm already going. Country roads and small towns are my bailiwick for compassing. It was during my young adult years when I was rooting myself spiritually in earth-centered practices that I first learned the rudiments of using a compass. I mean rudiments. As a leader of ritual, you need to know what direction you're facing in order to cast the circle, in order to establish the boundaries for that day or that hour, that evening of sacred space. If you were here for our opening words this morning, you heard me cast our circle by calling the directions east, south, west, north, clockwise in the direction of coming together. Calling the directions is part of the casting of a circle in many earth-centered traditions around the globe. In naming and honoring each of the cardinal directions, sacred space acquires both its earthbound and its boundless location. As each direction is called, the caller might describe some local feature of note that lies in that direction, such as the headwaters of a river, or a mountain, or an ocean shore. The caller might also include some words that capture the meaning that that direction has acquired that applies anywhere on earth, for instance, east as the direction in which the sun rises, or north as the direction a ray of the Great Bear in the night sky points to. The caller may also mention some features of human experience that have come to be associated in the culture of that people with that cardinal direction, and may also be aligned with the purpose of the ritual that's getting started. For instance, east may be honored as the direction of beginnings and renewal, of inspiration and hope, and thus particularly relevant for the recognition, say, of a birth, or a coming of age, or a first novel, or a new year. In the call I did, I called us in by our different identities in society, poets and teachers in the East, leaders and activists in the South, lovers and healers in the West, and in the North, artists and gardeners. And for each direction, I listed a string of words that named the primary energy of that direction, words on the theme of air, fire, water, and earth. This very ancient way of ritually aligning our physical position on earth with the place we find ourselves or our community in the work of meaning making is the foundation of the idea of the spiritual journey. The spiritual journey is the lifelong work of making meaning of what happens to us and around us, and finding within that meaning the nature of our identity as a human being and the terrain of our right action in the world. We make our way from physical place to physical place on earth, guided by the stars or the sun or our spouse's informed intuition, or by a map or by a compass we hold in our hands. We make our way from one configuration of identity and meaning and purpose to the next, using a variety of helpers we collect over the course of our life. Those, I'll call them instruments of transformation, might include one or more sacred texts or scriptures, a series of wise teachers and guides that come and go along the way, physical and spiritual exploration that draws you into new experiences and towards new possibilities, a faith community in which you experience belonging, comfort, learning, and challenge, sudden disruptions that pull us out of old patterns and reveal a new direction, and your ever more trustworthy intuitive sense about why something happened or keeps happening and what to do next. Also, mistakes we make and risks we take that refine our awareness of our strengths and vulnerabilities. And finally, on this list, spiritual practices that help you create the conditions in your physical self that are conducive to the growth of your spiritual self. This kind of orienteering you and I have been doing all our lives, with or without the tools, or enough tools, or the right tools, or the right sequence, or useful depth of exposure and mastery. You have been assembling within your continually evolving sense of who you are, what you love, and how you serve life, your own internal, moral and ethical and spiritually grounded compass for decision-making and direction-finding. I'll say that again. I don't care who you are in this room, even if the word spiritual is not actually in your vocabulary. You have been assembling within your continually evolving sense of who you are, what you love, and how you serve life, your own internal, moral, and ethical, and spiritually grounded compass for decision-making and direction-finding. These days, it's your GPS on your mobile phone or in your vehicle cockpit that's going to get you to the right physical location. Thank God for them. Your spiritually grounded, moral, and ethical internal compass is what will get you to your deathbed, a loved, loving, and fulfilled human being. Now, I'm thinking that I like putting spiritually grounded first. Grounded as in what a lightning rod does for circuits in a home struck by lightning. It channels excess energy into a space that can dissipate it harmlessly. Harmlessness is one of our aims. Your spiritual grounding that you can get right here, for instance, right here in this Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, protects your moral and ethical compass from sudden energy surges, sudden, seemingly catastrophic change, that might, without that grounding, blow that compass right up, leaving you lost and hopeless for a moment maybe, or for what might seem like forever. It is spiritual courage. That's the kind of courage it takes to assemble and calibrate and ground that internal compass that you carry with you everywhere in your heart. The experience in life that bring answers to the experiences in life that bring answers to the big questions humans must grapple with can be unrelentingly challenging, sometimes even grueling. What am I good at? What makes me happy? What does it mean to love? What can I do with this body? How do I stay fit and healthy? How did my family shape me? How has my ancestry shaped me? What do I believe without evidence? What am I certain about? What work am I drawn to and why? What restores my energy? What drains me of energy? How do I manage mistakes and failure? What is my relationship with the natural world? What kind of human community do I want to be part of? And where on earth do I want to live? What power do I have in my voice and my presence? How do I use money wisely? What kinds of things do I want to acquire and possess, and why? How do I live in the wake of devastating loss? What does it take to create a healthy and fruitful relationship? How do I cope with injuries, surgery, healing, aging, disease? What story am I telling about my life right now? Is it the true story? It takes spiritual courage to hang in there with partial answers and repeated painful lessons and grappling with the defenses we humans mount to protect ourselves from truths about ourselves that are hard to own and harder to transform. It takes courage and it takes help, and you have both here. No matter what minister comes and what minister goes, there are people and practices here that can help you address your questions about life, help you put together a reliable compass for decision-making and direction, help you to ground yourself in the shared faith history, the principles and covenants, vision and mission of this community. And you will find here the kind of caring that steps in when your life does blow up, and it does, and you can't find your compass, and you are in pain and afraid. If you think that the magic and ministry of this fellowship is all about who the minister is, then I have totally failed in my mission among you. Yes, the minister has an important role in moving the collective energy in ways that are conducive to the health and growth of individuals and the community. We're like the conductor of an orchestra in a way, but you are the skilled musicians in that orchestra. And there's a first in every instrument group in the mix. A first violin, a first oboe. Between ministers, there are teachers and leaders among you who know the whole symphony and can bring you all in on pitch and in rhythm to the workings of this place. So I say to you, love each other, this faith, and this place. And when a new minister comes, celebrate a new chapter with faith that they, that minister, whoever they are, will bring some things you've been needing that I have not been able to give. Knowing that whatever worthy thing I have given you and the fellowship in my turn was something you needed that is yours to keep forever, to refine or to replace with some new evolution in the future. I have served in my turn as a guide on the spiritual path of the fellowship itself, and perhaps as some kind of useful guide on yours. But I am one guide among many others, and the variety is essential to the vitality of the fellowship, which has a longer lifespan than any of us over time. I have three more probably sermons in which I'm going to talk to you about specific things. And this is the first. Our closing hymn will be familiar to you, I imagine, since you sang it last Sunday as well. Hymn number 348, "A Guide My Feet," is, of course, an African-American spiritual. The harrowing race referred to here was particular to the experience of enslaved African people for whom God's guidance down the vanishingly narrow path to survival was indeed their last hope. In singing now of our own need for guidance down the challenging course of our own lives, we remember those who first sang this prayer and lived to pass it on. Please stand to sing number 348, "Guide My Feet." I'm not sure how long this water has been here. Our closing words come to us from the poet, once National Poet Laureate, Billy Collins. The poem is called Directions. It speaks to me of our work together and of our parting. See what you think. You know the brick path in the back of the house, the one you can see from the kitchen window, the one that bends around the far end of the garden where all the yellow primroses are? And you know how if you leave the path and walk up into the woods, you come to a heap of rocks, probably pushed down during the horrors of the Ice Age, and a grove of tall hemlocks, dark green now, against the light brown fallen leaves. And further on, you know, the small footbridge with the broken railing. And if you go beyond that, you arrive at the bottom of that Sheep's Head Hill. Well, if you start climbing, and you might have to grab hold of a sapling when the going gets steep, you will eventually come to a long stone ridge with a border of pine trees, which is as high as you can go, and a good enough place to stop. The best time is late afternoon, when the sun strobes through the columns of trees as you're hiking up, and when you find an agreeable rock to sit on, you'll be able to see the light pouring down into the woods and breaking into the shapes and tones of things, and you will hear nothing but a sprig of birdsong or the leafy falling of a cone or a nut through the trees. And if this is your day, you might even spot a hare or feel the wing beats of geese driving overhead toward some destination. But it is hard to speak of these things, how the voices of light enter the body and begin to recite their stories, how the earth holds us painfully against its breast, made of humus and brambles, how we who will soon be gone regard the entities that continue to return greener than ever, spring water flowing through a meadow and the shadows of clouds passing over hills and the ground where we stand in the tremble of thought, taking the vast outside into ourselves. Still, let me know before you set out. Come knock on my door, and I will walk with you as far as the garden with one hand on your shoulder. I will even watch after you and not turn back to the house until you disappear into the crowd of maple and ash, heading up towards the hill, piercing the ground with your stick.
So our closing song this morning is offered by our very own Pledgettes, Maureen Shaman, Shelley Paceris, Linda Kirk, with Joanne Hammer on the piano. They'll be singing for us, "We Are Back," our own variation on the song, "You'll Be Back," from Hamilton. We are indeed back, and so is our wonderful goods and services auction. The silent auction is in progress right now, and you can bid through Friday at 8. The live auction and refreshments will happen Saturday from 2 to 5, and detailed information is in the news feed. So let's enjoy our Pledgettes as we are encouraged to bid often and bid high in support of our spiritual home.
Is the price of our faith a price that you're willing to pay? We say, isn't it lovely that we are together today? Why so sad? You may think that COVID has taken so much away. Now you're making me sad. Remember our beloved community. take some tea. We are back, time will tell if you'll bid enough, so we're in the black. Pledges rise, worries fall. We have seen each other through it all. And when push comes to shove, the pledges are here to remind you how we used to show our love. Da 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 da. Trusted, crusty you use. We will support our you-yous forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. We are back like before. This is the fellowship that we adore. We are back. Awesome. Wow. And you'll bid, so we are well endowed. Bids will rise, panic falls. We will see each other through it all. And when push comes to shove, will you join your friends and family and bid to pledge your love? Da 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 da. Everybody. Da 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 da
My dear ones, you know it too. It is in the disruptions in life that unseen barriers fall and the path forward becomes most clear. When the debris settles, you can see the pieces of things you now know you don't need. Amid the tumbled things, you know you'll need to set back up, but better. It takes a while for the dust to settle. The dust of change will fall on all of us, making gray tear tracks down my cheeks, I'm sure, and maybe yours too. We have time to make a sweet farewell, to remember, to laugh, and then we will all stand up in the glare of the new, and not too slowly and not too fast, take our next best daring steps. Remember the Kierkegaard with which June invoked the chalice flame. To dare is to lose one's footing momentarily. Not to dare is to lose oneself. Amen.